Hello, YouTube. This is Mega Marie coming to you with a television show review. Today I'll be talking about Interview with the Vampire, the AMC rendition. I watched the first episode. In this version, Lewis is a colored man in New Orleans during Jim Crow. Lewis is the eldest son of his family who owns a sugar plantation. After his father passed away, the business collapsed. Lewis began servicing the town's people's nightlife with ladies of the evening. Before segregation, New Orleans had lots of intertwined life with blacks, whites, and colored people. Colored people fall under the category of mixed race people or Creole people. These people tend to have a higher class of status and had more freedom than the blacks. However, once Jim Crow went into effect, colored people were then placed in the same category as blacks. Let's see. In this show, you see that Lewis's family is still regarded with some respect because of the status that they previously had by some people in the town, but then there's still a low regard in comparison. Now, because of the laws that's in effect, Lewis had to run his business in the district of Storyville. And this is where he meets Lestat. Now, one thing that I really love about the telling of this story in this way is that it does so without what I want to call overall race shaming, where you're getting a message through the story that these people are the bad people and these are the victim people. Whereas you see there was no in between messaging that overtly made a whole group of people bad and a whole group of people complete victims. It was simply the telling of Lewis's story under the circumstances or in the light of a colored man in New Orleans during Jim Crow. There was no race baiting in it. It was what it was, and you get to see his experience through this lens. Now, Lestat is white, still is white. In the original telling of the story by Anne Rice and also the original film that came out in the 90s, both characters were white, Lewis and Lestat. With this telling, it's a little different, well, a lot different, but still the same. It's just that his circumstances that's his circumstances and his initial human stressors is dealing with life as a colored man in Jim Crow South. Another thing that I think is really great that I want to talk about is the horror element. You get more horror in this than I felt I got when I watched the original film back in the 90s. You get romance. You get suspense. There were times when I jumped because it was scary. You get gore. I love gore. A lot of blood. I haven't been this excited about a television show themed around vampires since True Blood. And that's saying a lot because I love True Blood. And I think every single actor, if I hadn't said already, did a great job in this film. You had Jacob Anderson playing Louis, Sam Reed playing Lestat, Eric Bogosian playing Daniel, who is the interviewer. And the setting is different than the original one where they're located. It's just the cinematography is beautiful. New Orleans is a beautiful place. Now, I don't know for sure if they actually filmed in New Orleans. I'm pretty sure they probably did. But if they didn't, it certainly looks like they filmed in New Orleans. And it's a love story. It's a horror love story. And we all know Anne Rice is still, in my opinion, the reigning queen of the vampire genre and storytelling. And she has left an incredible legacy of storytelling, beautiful writing. And I think that they paid tribute to that in the way they wrote the script for this show, because Lewis's character talks about Lestat and the way he describes his relationships, just the way he describes how he felt when he first sat across from him, is so poetic. The way he describes how tranced he was. Just so every time there were several parts in it where it's kind of like a monologue, and Jacob Anderson does a great job of expressing this passion, just great acting all the way around. And the way he describes the effect that Lestat has on him is just, it's poetic. It's no other word to describe it. It's just poetic. I absolutely enjoyed this film. It was just remarkable. Well, not film, television show. And this was all in one episode. I got all this in one episode. It's an hour and 12 minutes long. And you get to get a big chunk of the story if you've read the book and if you watch a good deal of the story in the beginning. So I'm anxious to see how it plays out over the entire season and to see if it gets renewed, which I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm pretty confident it'll get renewed. Fingers crossed. That maybe in the second season, they'll go into the second book, depending on, I guess, how much they're going to express in this season or show in this season from the book. However, I think at this point, there are like 4 or 5 episodes. I don't know if they're dropping episodes every week, but I'm watching it through Prime. And on Prime, you can get the channel AMC. The first episode is free. You don't have to have a subscription or be on a trial. But if you liked it, then you can get a 7-day free trial, which I intend to do, and then watch the rest of the episodes. And then after that, of course, it'll cost. Definitely worth it to me just to watch this show. But this is definitely a 5-star show. It was just beautifully done. No complaints. And most of the time, the first episode is where everybody's working out the story. But this episode started out as if it was already seasoned, ready to go. And there was no work up. You were just thrown into this incredible world and you were just watching it and experiencing it, and you felt like you were there. So it was beautifully told. Acting's beautiful. Everything was totally awesome. You really felt thrown into the world. Same experience I had when I first watched True Blood when it first came out. Great experience. Great vampire storytelling. So if you enjoyed this video, please tune in and like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Tell me your favorite Anne Rice book. Let me know if you watched the show and if you enjoyed it. And let me know your all-time favorite vampire show if you're a vampire enthusiast. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys again. Peace.